He broke me, shattered the life we built, the future we dreamed of, all because some doctor, draped in the false certainty of science, whispered poison in his ear about our unborn child. He couldn't handle the idea of imperfection, the coward. While I carried our daughter, heavy and hopeful against the odds, he sought comfort in the arms of another woman, trading our shared history for cheap thrills and shallow promises. He left me adrift in a sea of fear and hormones, convinced he was escaping a burden. But oh, how the universe loves irony. Our daughter, my perfect Lily, arrived healthy, whole, a tiny miracle defying his selfish predictions. He built a new life, on the wreckage of ours, married his vapid replacement, only to have karma serve him a dish colder than his own heart. His new wife gave him a child, all right, but not his child. She played him just as he played me, only faster, messier. And when his cheap imitation of happiness crumbled, where did he run? Back to me. Back to the woman he discarded. Back to the daughter he abandoned before she even drew breath. He stood on my doorstep, pathetic and pleading, expecting forgiveness, a rewrite. He thought he could just walk back in, but he found the door closed, bolted shut by my newfound strength, my hard-won peace, and the fierce, protective love for the daughter he never deserved. Watching him walk away, knowing his life was a self-inflicted ruin while mine was finally, truly, beautifully mine. That right there was the sweetest, most satisfying revenge I could ever imagine. He didn't just lose me, he lost himself, and I found everything. It feels like a lifetime ago, another woman's life almost. Mark and I. We had the house in that pleasant, tree-lined suburb just outside Austin, Texas. The one with the porch swing we swore we'd use every evening, though mostly it collected dust and optimistic cushions. We had the 2 cars, the decent jobs, him in software sales, me in marketing, the weekend barbecues with friends, the comfortable rhythm of a life sliding effortlessly towards the picket fence dream. We'd been married for 5 years, dated for 3 before that. 8 years. A significant chunk of my adult life had his name stamped all over it. When the pregnancy test showed positive, it felt like the final perfect piece clicking into place. We cried, we laughed, we called our families. Mark was ecstatic, almost boyish in his excitement. He started talking about converting the spare room immediately, debating paint colors, pale yellow or mint green. He'd rub my still flat stomach and whisper nonsense names to the tiny speck growing inside. "Hello in there, future astronaut," he'd murmur. Or, "Hey champ, ready for Dad to teach you baseball?" He was attentive, bringing me breakfast in bed on weekends, indulging my sudden craving for pickles dipped in peanut butter without a single weird look. For the first 6 months, it was bliss, textbook happiness. We were that couple, the ones people looked at and thought, they've got it all figured out. We chose names. Emily if it was a girl, after my grandmother. Ethan if it was a boy, after his favorite author. We bought tiny onesies, debated the merits of different strollers with the seriousness of world leaders discussing treaties. We went to birthing classes, Mark diligently practicing breathing techniques alongside me, his brow furrowed in concentration. Everything pointed towards a smooth, joyous entry into parenthood. We were ready. Or rather, I was ready. I thought. We were. The shift began subtly, almost imperceptibly around the 7-month mark. It started after that appointment. The high-risk specialist, Dr. Ramirez. Our regular OB had flagged something on the anatomy scan, an anomaly, something needing a closer look. We went in, holding hands, nervous but optimistic. Just a precaution, we told ourselves. Dr. Ramirez was kind but direct. She pointed at grainy images on the screen, used terms like significant chromosomal translocation, potential developmental delays, uncertain prognosis, and the phrase that echoed like a death knell: significantly increased risk of severe, lifelong health complications. She couldn't guarantee anything, she stressed, but the indicators were concerning. There was a chance, she explained gently, that our baby might not have the quality of life we hoped for, might require constant medical intervention, might not thrive. She presented options, further testing, counseling. We left numb, the cheerful yellow walls of the waiting room suddenly seeming mocking. I clung to hope, fiercely. Maybe the tests were wrong. Maybe the doctor was overly cautious. Maybe our baby would be the exception. I needed Mark to be my rock, my partner in this fear, my co-believer in miracles. But something in him switched off. The man who had debated nursery colors with passion now fell silent on the subject. The hand that had lovingly rubbed my belly now felt hesitant, distant. He stopped talking to my stomach. He started working late more often, claiming deadlines and demanding projects. When he was home, he was withdrawn, staring blankly at the TV or scrolling endlessly on his phone. The easy laughter, the shared glances, the comfortable intimacy, it all evaporated, replaced by a tense, brittle silence. "Talk to me, Mark," I pleaded one night, my voice thick with unshed tears and the weight of my growing belly pressing against my ribs. "We need to face this together." He looked at me, his eyes holding an expression I'd never seen before. Not sadness, not fear, but a chilling kind of detachment, almost like pity. "Face what, Sarah?" he asked, his voice flat. "Face the fact that we might be bringing a child into the world who will suffer? That our lives will be consumed by hospitals and therapies? That the dream we had, it's probably not going to happen?" "We don't know that for sure," I cried, desperation clawing at my throat. "She could be fine, or even if she needs help, she's still our baby. We'll love her no matter what." "You say that now," he scoffed, a bitter twist to his lips. "It's easy to say now, but think about it, Sarah. Really think about the reality. Is it fair? To the child? To us?" His words were like ice shards in my heart. Us. He was already separating. Himself, already viewing our child not as a person, but as a problem, a deviation from the perfect plan. The fear that had been a shadow now became a suffocating blanket. He wasn't just scared. He was repulsed, disappointed. He was checking out. The late nights became more frequent. He smelled faintly of perfume that wasn't mine sometimes, quickly masked by a rushed shower. He became defensive if I questioned his whereabouts, snapping about needing space, about the pressure getting to him. Deep down, a sickening suspicion started to bloom, but I pushed it away. He wouldn't. Not now. Not when I was carrying his child, vulnerable and terrified. He couldn't be that cruel. I found out 2 weeks before my due date. It was mundane, almost pathetic in its predictability. He'd left his phone on the kitchen counter while he took a shower. A message notification lit up the screen. Not just a name, but Lisa. Curiosity, sharp and painful, overrode any sense of privacy. My hands trembled as I unlocked it. His passcode was still our anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me. The messages weren't just flirtatious. They were explicit, detailed, filled with plans made, secrets shared, intimacies described. Dates, locations, pictures of them together, smiling, laughing. Lisa was younger, blonde, someone from his office I vaguely recognized from a company picnic years ago. The dates of the messages stretched back weeks, maybe even a couple of months, coinciding perfectly with his withdrawal. His late nights, they talked about us, about me. He called me the situation. He complained about the burden, the drama. He told her he felt trapped, that he'd made a mistake, that she, Lisa, was his escape, his real future. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. The air rushed out of my lungs. I felt the baby kick, a sharp reminder of the life intertwined with this devastating betrayal. He had used the doctor's prognosis, the fear surrounding our unborn child, as his excuse. He wasn't just cheating, he was abandoning us, framing it as some kind of tragic necessity forced upon him by cruel fate, when it was nothing but pure, unadulterated selfishness and cowardice. When he came out of the shower, humming, wrapped in a towel, I was sitting at the kitchen table, the phone lying face up between us. The color drained from his face. He didn't even try to deny it. "Sarah." He started, but the words died on his lips. "Get out," I whispered, my voice dangerously calm. The shock had frozen the tears, the rage simmering beneath a layer of ice. "Look, it's complicated," he stammered, reaching for excuses. "The stress, the news about the baby. I didn't know how to cope. Lisa, she's your coping mechanism? Your escape from your burden?" I spat the words back at him, the ice finally cracking. "While I'm here, carrying our child, scared out of my mind, needing you, you find comfort somewhere else because things got hard? Because our baby might not be perfect according to your standards?" "It's not like that," he insisted, though his eyes wouldn't meet mine. I couldn't face it, Sarah. The idea of a life like that. It's too much. "Too much for you," I corrected, standing up slowly, my hand protectively on my belly. "But apparently not too much for me to handle alone. Get your things, Mark. I want you gone before I get back from my mother's house." "Where will you go?" he asked, a flicker of something, maybe guilt, maybe just inconvenience in his eyes. "That's no longer your concern," I said, my voice colder than I thought possible. "You made your choice. You chose Lisa. You chose easy. You chose to run. Now live with it. Just get out of my house. Our house." He left, packed a bag, avoided my gaze, muttered something about lawyers and arrangements, and walked out the door, leaving behind 8 years of history and the wreckage of the future we were supposed to share. The silence he left behind was deafening, filled only by the frantic thumping of my own heart and the occasional flutter of the baby inside me, blissfully unaware of the storm raging outside. The next 2 weeks were a blur of tears, frantic calls to my family, and the terrifying reality of facing childbirth and potential medical challenges alone. My mom came down immediately, a whirlwind of comforting casseroles and fierce protective anger towards Mark. My friends rallied, offering support, listening without judgment. We started the legal proceedings. My lawyer was efficient, advising me on securing immediate financial support and ensuring Mark had no grounds to contest custody later, given his abandonment. The fear about the baby's health was a constant, gnawing presence, amplified by Mark's betrayal. His rejection felt like a confirmation of the doctor's grim words. If her own father could discard her based on a possibility, what hope did she have? I spent hours praying, bargaining with a universe I wasn't sure I believed in, willing my daughter to be okay, not just for her sake, but almost as defiance against Mark. Then came the delivery. It was long, exhausting, filled with moments of panic where Dr. Ramirez's words echoed in the sterile hospital room. My mom held one hand. My best friend Chloe held the other. When the final push came and the first cry filled the room, strong, loud, indignant, time stopped. The pediatrician, alerted due to the prenatal concerns, was there immediately. Tests were run, examinations performed with painstaking care. And then, the verdict, delivered with a broad, relieved smile. "She's perfect, Mom. Absolutely perfect. Whatever those markers showed, they aren't affecting her one bit. She's a healthy, beautiful baby girl." I held her, my Lily, my tiny miracle. 10 fingers, 10 toes, pink and squirming, gazing up at me with wide, dark eyes that held no hint of the predicted suffering. Relief washed over me, so potent it felt like collapsing. Tears streamed down my face, but this time, they were tears of pure, unadulterated joy and overwhelming love. She wasn't a burden, a problem, or a deviation. She was simply Lily. My Lily. And she was perfect. The ultimate refutation of Mark's cowardice. Life as a single mom wasn't easy, but it was ours. We moved out of the house Mark and I had shared. Too many ghosts, too many echoes of a life that wasn't mine anymore. We found a smaller, brighter apartment closer to my mom. The divorce was finalized relatively quickly. Mark didn't contest much. He agreed to a settlement, a lump sum around $50,000 from the sale of the house equity and ongoing child support, around $2,200 a month based on his income then. He wanted minimal visitation, citing the need to move on and build his new life. It stung. But honestly, it was a relief. Lily deserved better than a father who saw her as a potential inconvenience he had narrowly escaped. I poured all my energy into Lily and rebuilding my own life. I found a new job with better pay and more flexibility. Slowly, painstakingly, I stitched my heart back together. Lily was my focus, my joy, my reason. Watching her grow, hit milestones, giggle infectiously, it healed parts of me I thought were permanently broken. There were hard days, lonely nights, moments of financial stress, but the overwhelming feeling was one of peace and empowerment. I was doing it, on my own. And we weren't just surviving, we were thriving. News of Mark filtered through occasionally, via mutual acquaintances or awkward social media glimpses. He married Lisa barely 6 months after our divorce was final, a rushed affair that screamed desperation more than devotion. They bought a flashy new house in a different suburb. Pictures showed them smiling, tanned, projecting an image of perfect happiness. It barely registered. My life was full of Lily's laughter, messy first meals, sleepless nights that were somehow still precious, and the quiet satisfaction of building something real and resilient from the ashes. Then, about 2 years later, the whispers started. Trouble in paradise. Lisa was apparently not the paragon of virtue Mark had imagined. The gossip mill, fueled by disgruntled mutual friends Mark had alienated, churned out stories of her constant spending, her boredom, her wandering eye. And then the kicker. Lisa had a baby boy. But the timing was suspicious. Mark, apparently, blinded by his desire for the perfect family he thought I couldn't give him, hadn't questioned it. Until, according to the rumors, Lisa's ex-boyfriend started making noise, demanding a paternity test. The inevitable happened. The test confirmed Mark wasn't the father. The flashy house went on the market. Lisa apparently took the baby and a hefty chunk of Mark's savings and vanished back to wherever she came from. Mark was left with crippling debt, a broken second marriage, and the crushing weight of his own spectacularly bad judgment. I felt nothing. Not joy, not vindication, just a profound sense of detachment. His choices had led him here. My choices had led me here, to my sunny apartment, playing blocks on the floor with my healthy, happy daughter. And then, he showed up. One Saturday morning, unannounced. He stood on my doorstep looking haggard, older, defeated. The confident swagger was gone, replaced by a desperate uncertainty. "Sarah," he said, his voice raspy. Can I talk to you for a minute?" I almost didn't recognize him. I stepped aside slightly, keeping the chain on the door. Lily momentarily distracted by cartoons in the living room. "What do you want, Mark?" He wrung his hands. I heard about Lisa. It's true. All of it. The baby. He wasn't mine. He choked on the words. She cheated on me, Sarah. Took everything. I just looked at him. No sympathy stirred within me. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, the words polite but empty. Sorry. He laughed bitterly. It's a disaster. My life is a disaster. And I deserve it, I know I do. Sarah, I was such a fool, an idiot, a coward. He finally met my eyes, and they were filled with a desperate plea. Leaving you. Leaving her. He gestured vaguely towards the living room where Lily was the biggest mistake of my life. He took a hesitant step closer. I was scared. The doctor's words, they messed with my head. I thought I was protecting myself, but I threw away the only thing that mattered. Seeing Lily now, knowing she's okay, knowing I missed it all because I was weak. His voice broke. Sarah, please, can we start over? Can I be a father to her? Can I try to earn your forgiveness? I looked at him, really looked at him. The man who had shared my bed, my dreams, my deepest fears, and then shattered them all. The man who had based his love on a condition of perfection. The man who had run when things got tough. And I felt pity, maybe, but mostly a vast, unbridgeable distance. No, Mark, I said, my voice quiet but firm, unwavering. You can't come back. There's nothing here for you to come back to. But Lily, he stammered. She's my daughter too. Biologically, yes, I conceded. But you gave up the right to be her father when you walked out that door because you were afraid she wouldn't meet your specifications. You don't get to reappear now that your other life imploded and decide you want a do-over. She doesn't know you. And frankly, she doesn't need the kind of father who bolts when things look uncertain. I continued, the words flowing easily, calmly. You made your choices, Mark. You chose Lisa. You chose to believe the worst. You chose to run. I made my choices too. I chose to stay. I chose to believe in my daughter. I chose to build this life, our life, without you. And you know what? It's a good life. A happy life. Happier than I ever was in those last months with you. His face crumpled. Sarah, please. No, I repeated, shaking my head slowly. There's no forgiveness to earn because I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. We are done. You need to leave, Mark, and don't come back. Lily and I have moved on. You should too. I saw the finality of it hit him. The hope drained from his eyes, leaving only a bleak emptiness. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. There was nothing left to say. He turned, shoulders slumped, and walked away from my door, away from the life he threw away, back towards the wreckage he had created for himself. I closed the door, leaning against it for a moment, taking a deep breath. I didn't feel triumph, in the way I might have imagined years ago. There was no exultant cry, no fist pump, just a profound, quiet sense of peace. Justice hadn't required my intervention. His own actions had been his downfall. My revenge wasn't in seeing him suffer. It was in my own happiness, my own resilience. The beautiful reality of my life with Lily, built not despite his betrayal, but in its wake. I walked back into the living room, where Lily looked up from her cartoons and beamed at me, holding out her chubby arms for a hug. I scooped her up, burying my face in her soft hair, breathing in the scent of baby shampoo and pure, uncomplicated love. This was my life. He wasn't a part of it, and that was the best outcome I could have ever wished for. He was a ghost from a past I had fully escaped, while my future, bright and full of promise, giggled in my arms.